Welcome or welcome back to my channel about the Nasdaq Scalping bot. In this channel series of videos, I'm going to explain how I created the bot, what it does, and I also show you how I struggled with Python with creating this bot and how ChatGPT helped me with a lot of this code. And I'm going to show you in this series of videos. And in between, I want to show you extra videos about corrections I do when the bot doesn't do what I want, or I updated it, or I upgraded it with new stuff. Then I want to show you those too. For the ones who are following along in creating the new bot and want to make them themselves, then you have seen my other video. It's necessary to see the other video if you want to keep on going with the part that I'm going to show you today. If you don't, go back to the previous video and then you will find the files we created there. And it was the main pie we already created and the main window we created. And I explained there how a window works and how you can divide your window into grids, into the grid system with rows and columns. And that's the starting point of the entire bot. Today, I want to show you how you can connect to the API. And that's necessary. You need a connection with the API. And without the API, you cannot make this bot working. But I also, and I have to deep dive into earlier versions of this bot, and maybe I can find those. I'm going to show you how you can create this one without an API. So if you don't have an API, if you don't want to use the API, if you just want to know how you will do it without using the API, I'm going to show you those one too. So if you like it, stick around and maybe we learn something more. First, we have the API. To work with the API, you need to connect with the API. You need several things. The first thing you need, of course, is a file to make the connection work. So we're going to start with a new file. In our project, in our project map, we're going to new Python file. And we're going to name this connection. And in the connection pie, there we're going to realize our connection to the API. Let me grab some code for you. So let's see the code you need. You see there's a small portion. The first thing you need are 4 imports to make this work. An import HTTP client, import JSON, import time, and import date and time. Those 4 you need. Then you need a global name called username with your API username. You're needing password with your API password. Then base URL, API capital dot backend capital.com, and a demo base URL, demo API capital backend dot backend demo dash API dash capital dot backend dash capital.com. Yeah, wow. That's the one you need for the testing environment. And the base URL, the API dash capital dot backend dash capital.com. That's the one we're going to use later on to make it all real and start, making the profit, I hope, with real money. So those you need, the API URLs, and I already do this on this side with a global. Then we have a global called API/v1. Also separated those from the base URL and the demo URL because I'm expecting that this could be version 1.1 or 2 or 1.3, and so then we have a nice variable with only the version into it. Then you need an API key, then an empty CSV token global, and an empty security token. Those we do also as a global because we need them at several times in our code. So one time it's good enough to get them, and then we use them over and over again. Let's make it easier instead of always passing into all kinds of codes. The API key and the username and the password, of course, are mine. I won't show them here, but you need to get them, and you can get them in your account at Capital. I want to show you. There we have the Capital account. This is your account you're looking at, maybe more like this one you're looking at. But this is your account, and then you see in the lower left, you see a cog with settings, and in the settings you go to the API integrations, and in the API integrations you find your API key, and you can ask to generate an API key. And you also can add your username and your password. And those are a separate username and password for the API environment. So don't use your own key, your own password and username for the API. You need to get a separate one. And if you want to know how, there is an API doc. You click on it, then you get to the public API information screen, and there you can see how you can activate your API. Getting started, what you need to do, which functionalities there are. You don't need those. But there is the information you need to get started with the API. Create a trading account, you already have those. Then two-factor authentication, generate an API key, and then you go to set and done. This API is, of course, the help file. You find a lot of information. If you want to do other stuff, you can see the session, for example, an encryption key, the session details in other languages, in C# and Curl, HTTP, Java, scripting, Node.js, PHP, and Python. So they have examples for all these languages if you want to do this in other language than Python. So you need those keys. You need to create your account, and with those keys you can go on. So API integrations, generate an API key, and you're good to go. So username, password, demo, base URL, demo URL, extended URL, API key is what you get, and then CSV token and the security token. They will be generated as you go along. And the first piece of code, the first function you're going to add in this file is, of course, the way to create your session. I'm going to copy and paste those codes too. Copy and paste. There it is. And this function we are calling create a new session. And in the session, you're going to need the globals CST token and security token, the ones we have right here. Those two you need empty. They need to be empty. Then there will be a connection with the base URL, I see. And the base URL is the API capital backend. That's your connection to the base URL will be generated. Then the identifiers will be your username and your password. That was this one and that one. You get them when you are having an account. And then the headers will be your API key. So your API key, where it is there. I'm gonna share. Oh, I'm gonna do this. I'm gonna move this one there. So API key, username, and password you are needing to fetch from your account. That's different for every user. And you're gonna send them the username, the password, and the API key need to be sent. And when you do, you get back from the API your security token and your CST token. And they will be stored into these two globals. That's what you need to do. But when do you need this to do? Now, of course, you need to do this inside your main pie. So we go back to the main pie, to main, and we already have those. And where it is, there you see we have a code called create new session. And in our connection, we have a function that's called create new session. Okay, so we need to connect those two again. And then we do this over here from connection. We need to import create create new session, I would say. But did I make a connection error? Oh, yes, there, connection. Okay, there it is. From connection, that should be, doesn't matter. Yeah, from connection, import, create new session. And then we have a new session. And then we're going to start the main loop. This won't work at this moment for me because in the connection there aren't my real username and password. So I kind of showed you that for now. But this is the first step in connecting to our API to do this. I'm gonna show you a different way too. The first steps I created to get information to work with my bot without using the API. Gonna deep dive, I hope, somewhere in my code, and I will find it. So I will be back with you in a second. And the second is over for you, not for me. You see, I have two extra files now, fetch data and the contract. There are two extra files from my previous version 1.0. And I used to get my information in a different way. And that was the way I started with was with Python Auto GUI. It was for me at that point. I thought the only way to get information from the site, and what I did was in a site. I'm gonna show you the site, a site. Let's see. Okay, I need to open the window again. Yes, there is. Let's go to training view. Yeah, okay, it's good enough. Training view, and in training view, I pressed on the inspection screen, and then you have a lot of information about your what's going on. Let's take a look at where is my, there you are. Open and close the values. Yeah. Then you have this information in your inspection screen, and then you get the information you needed. You can see how the screen is built. And what I did in the previous version is to grab those positions. So I went to Intel, the pixels 140 and 17, and then I went to that coordinate with my mouse. Then the GUI clicked on this position. I waited, so I got some time to actually do this. Then the GUI will press Ctrl C. Then we had the strip paper clip paste, and then I could grab that code. So with copy paste on the mouse, contrast was even better. You can see it. Yeah. Out the GUI, click on the coordinates 299550 X and Y. Press Control Tab, time sleep. Then click this, then click on that coordinate, then click on these coordinates, then click on those coordinates, and then press Control Tab again, and making a buy at that time, press Control Tab, go to that coordinate, click on those, and then go to the connections of the conditions. The conditions means calculating stuff, and then click on that position, and then press backspace, and that was fully automated, and it worked. It worked fine. That's why I created version 2.0, because I know that the bot is working, and I know the bot is profitable. But there was one problem. Every time that the browser gathered an update, then the screen disappeared, or the makers of the developers of this site decided to change something. Then I needed to need to adjust all the coordinates inside my code. And trading platform now, if I want to make a trade, buy, you see sell and buy, those coordinates would change too. Every time there was something wrong or there was a new screen size, for example, no, I can't adjust it now, but then you could adjust the screen size, then those coordinates weren't correct too. So I needed to adjust those coordinates too. Was a lot of work just to adjust new coordinates to the browser or to the Python. So all those coordinates, and that didn't work for me. It works. You can use this to do things automatically. You can use Python Auto GUI to do stuff automatically for you on a site. That's how a lot of sites also do their dirty stuff. So that was the older version where I use this Python Auto GUI to do with Control C and Control and Pass and Tab, etc., etc. You see all the things I did to do this with the mouse. It works, but nowadays I use the API. Just want to show you how I started. It's not the best way, but we want to show it everything, the entire process, how I get to the bot I have nowadays. So fetching the data, and that's the next step in this entire process. We have a connection. You have your API username, password, and key. You have your security tokens. So now it's the first time, and this won't work. Yeah, this will work. Oh. Now you have your session created, and then the first step we're gonna do is to get some data. We're gonna create a new file for that to separate all the things we do from the connection, from actual stuff with calculations in Python, other stuff from our bot. So everything what has to do with connecting to the API, we do in a separate file. So now we're going to start a new file. New file Python. And the name will be fetch data. Of course, we can't do anything if we don't get the right data. So fetch data is a new file. So we have connection, we have new file data, and we have main py, and we also have our main window. That's over here. We discussed this in the last video. We won't do that much anymore on this file because it's the main window, so we don't need it for a while. No, but that's the 4 files we have: main py, main window, connection, and fetch data. What do we need in data? We need something to gather our information from the API. And the most logical thing to make any decision if you want to buy or sell on the Nasdaq or any other market, the bot isn't focused on, it is focused on the Nasdaq, but you can use it for any other market for if you want to. If you don't want to do it with the Nasdaq, you can do it with the S&P. And if you don't want to use the S&P United States, you go to, I don't know, I live in the Netherlands, so you can use the AAX, that's the Dutch exchange, or you're going to use it for, I don't know, whatever you want to. It isn't that focused on specifically the Nasdaq. You can use it for any reasons you want to, but I build it focused for the Nasdaq. But whatever you want to do, you're gonna need information to fetch from the API, and I'm gonna fetch that code for you too. So be back in a sec. There it is. We have added code, our function to get information, and it's based on the US snapshot, fetch the US 100. Yeah, so I focus on the Nasdaq as gathering my information from, but you can do it anything you want to. We need from connection the fetch US snapshot, and you see there it is, connection double N. Yeah, I know. So he's gonna rename my typo, refactor, rename, and make it connection. So, okay. From connection, we need to import the function that's called fetch 100 snapshot. That's this one. And in connection, we do not have this. So, going back to this one. And again, be back in a sec. Yeah, we are back in the connection file. And I have in this connection file a new method, and that's this one. I created firstly the default connection like it is in the documents from Capital, how you need to create a connection with your security code and your CST code and which line, etc. But with the information and the busyness of several connections, I found out that sometimes the request failed. You get an error, request failed, and at the moment that actually the request failed and I didn't get the information I needed, then the program would tell me, I don't have the information, and quit. Then I get an error trying to do this with it, and the data is none, and then the none failure appeared, and my entire program went south, as in didn't do anything, and then I was run it the entire night, and then the next morning when I woke up and I looked at my code and I thought, let's see what it has done. It only says nothing, because after the 6th or the 7th candle, it has an error, couldn't fetch the right information, and exited with an error. And then the code didn't run all night. So I discussed this with ChatGPT, of course, and tell me we need to make this better. We need something to go on while there is an error. If we cannot find the right information at that point, we should try again and again and again until we get the information without killing the program. So if it's not an actual error from the coding, it's only an error because we couldn't find the right information, then we need to keep on going. And ChatGPT came with a solution like we make a new function that's called make request. We're going to add a parameter method. We're going to an endpoint. We're going to add a payload that's by default none. We're going to retry what's by default is true. So we want to while true, we want to keep on trying until we get the information, or I as user interrupt, but we want to try. So we're going to make a request with method, endpoint, payload, and retry in use. And on the next line, you see and try an exception. This is if there really is an error, then in this code, then it will exit it with the real error, as in something did not go right. We have a typo in some of the other code you're seeing here. But if not, keep on going. Try. So what's he going to do? He's going to try to make a connection. And the connection is based on HTTP client dot HTTPS connection demo base URL. You see, he's going to make a connection with the demo base URL. And the demo base URL is the demo base URL we have configured right here, the demo base URL. So you can see it's demo. We'll copy this, Control C. So instead of this entire string, I replace this entire string with just simple the demo URL. Demo URL. And when I go live, I can change this one again in base URL, and then I can go live. So I don't have to do much stuff to get live. Demo base URL. If payload is none, payload is by default none, but there are requests we're going to do where there is a default. So if payload is none, then dump the payload. Payload is not none. Sorry, if the payload is not none, then dump the payload with an instance of the payload from the dictionary, else just dump payload, and payload is none. So if there is a payload to dump to, we're gonna do it. And I want to explain the payload later on, but payload is the actual request we want to do. Then the headers are always the same. They don't change. They're always the security token you need to send and the CST token you need to send. And the content type is always application JSON. So the headers don't change, but I tried to make this a global, but the API didn't accept this. So it needs to be in this way, like partial string with the global, a string with the global, a string with the always the entire string. So you can change this like I did with demo base. It has to be in this way. So headers, security token, the CST token, and the content type for application JSON. Then you have established the connection. That's here. Here you made the connection. And then you say connection request, certain method, the endpoint, the payload, and the headers. This is the rest of what we have stand up here. The response. You get the response, the connection from connection get response will be stored in there. That is a JSON response you're going to get. And in the data, we're going to read those responses and decode it with UTF-8. Or we're going to decode the JSON code back to something we can work with in Python. If the response status is 200, so it is a successful response, the response is number 200, then it will return the data as that we fetched, else print, and the print will be on our screen down here, print request failed, so it will not be printed to the user, it will be printed to us, print request failed, and then if retry is true, and it is, the retry is true, then print retrying in 5 seconds, wait 5 seconds, and then retry it again, else return none. If that's not necessary, if I say I don't want to retry, I'm going to change this one into false, not none, but false, then it will return without any values. But we want to know it's, so we're going to keep this true. And then you will try again until we get status 200. And I've seen it the last couple of weeks when I tried it and I tested this, that there were sometimes during the market hours that there were points that you had to retry 2 or 3 times. So it happens, and it would be a shame if you're not at home and your bot is doing your work for you, because it's meant to be unattended. You leave the bot and you go on with your daily business. You go to your job, or you go to school, or you go whatever you want to do. And in the meantime, your bot does the earnings for you. Then it's good that he keeps on going and not comes back with fear. So he's going to try it, and I've seen it. It will try 3 times. Usually after 2 or 3 times retrying, you get the information and your bot will go on with the function. Well, if it does not, then we see accept. Well, this is the try, this is the accept. Then it will accept and throw an error, and then we will find out what is our error. So this function is part of the entire function we use to keep everything going. If you have this function ready, and if not, then just press pause. Good. Back. Then we see I have my first fetch, and we have the function fetch US 100 snapshot. And what I do is get the information from the markets US. And you see I have the function make request. This is this function, make request. This is the make request function. And the method is get some information. And the endpoint, you see here, endpoint there and endpoint here, is the markets US 100. So to get the information from the markets US 100. But if you want to do something else, the default example in the docs is silver. You can change it to silver. If you want to do it to the US dollar, then you change it to, would be, I guess, US dollar. You can change this in every market you wish to do. But I focus on the US 100. So he makes a request. If it goes well, status 200, it will return the data, and this will be returned into this. So the dictionary US 100 is made from the response you get from this request. And then from the dictionary, we get a snapshot. We need only the part from the snapshot, and that will be the dictionary US 100 snapshot. And those snapshots will be returned to the function we made in get data. For the ones who type along, function fetch 100 snapshot. This returns the dictionary US 100 snapshot to fetch data. So fetch the US 100 snapshot and posted those in this variable, and that is the US 100 snapshot. And in this snapshot, we extract the information we need. We need the bid price, the net of change, the percentage change, the high, the low, and from the snapshot. Now, this is where I started with getting the bid price, the net change, and the percentage change, the net of change, the percentage change. And you see that I don't get them at all, because I tried to make the bot work to make the decision based on net of change and percentage change, and it didn't make any good decisions. So I deleted those, not in the comment, but I don't use those. So we only needed the bid price, the highest price, and the lowest price. And there is no closing in the snapshot. It's a bit odd, but you can get from the snapshot, you get the bid price, you get the highest, and you get the lowest, but you don't get the close. And yeah, the close is, of course, the starting of the next candle. That's the bid price on the beginning. So you can take the bid price from the next candle as being the closing price from the previous candle, but then we need to loop over and over again. So it would be, and that's what ChatGPT offered, is to get the bid price and the offer price, and then counted them together, divided them to 2, and then you have a closing price. And the closing price we use to generate later on the EMA and the MACD. So it's not exactly the right EMA, not exactly the right MACD, but those are indicators, and indicators are always to indicate something. So it's not exact science needed there. It's only to give an indication when we're going up, or giving an indication we're going down. So we don't need an exact number for our closing. So I made it to get the bid and the offer price, and then divided as I'll say the closing price. So it returns an array with the bid price, the closing price, the highest price, and the lowest price, and that will be returned. And for everyone who's typing along, I'll keep it a second or two, and then I go back to the main pie. There we go. When we're back in main, you don't see that we do anything with the information from the candle for now, but that's the next step. So be back in a sec. And we're back. You see there's a new function. The function is called start loop. And we created an array fetched candles. There's a new array that's not yet created. No, it's not. Gives me the information that the loop is started, create a new session, and get account information. We're going to explain this later on. And then we get a balance, and we get the date, etc. To make this function work, we need something to do. One, we need an array fetched candles. That's not existing right now. So just copy paste. What I'm used to. Copy and paste is a array, and by two brackets it means that it is an empty array. There's nothing here, but we have assigned it, and so we have an empty array. That's this one we needed, and then we have a function that's called create new session. We always did that in our connection pie. We created a function that's called create new session. That's this one, create new session, where we get our username API and username password API, what gives us the security token and the CST token. And the CST token is the one we need here for the fetching the requests. So that's important. In main pie, create a new session. Then we need account information with fetching the account details. And the account details is something we not have made yet. So again, we need in our connection a new function that's called account details to give us the details we need. And we go back to connection, scroll all the way down, account details, again, make requests. So the function is up there, make requests. The method is get, and the endpoint is again the extended URL, and we get the account. So by fetch, we use markets use 100, and for account details, we use account. So it's almost the same every time, and in these functions, we only adjust the stuff we need to change, but the rest is all the same. If I want to request the account details, then I need all this stuff too. I need to make a payload, I need to make the headers, I need to request the actual request connection, get the response, get the data, if it's all the same. So now I only need to change, or only need to get to the information I need to, and I only need to change the parameters I send to the function. So make request, method is get, and extended is account. And this will return the account details. And we go back to main. And that's what's happening here. Account information, we request from account details. This is a function in connection, so we need to create this one too. Account details. Now it has found the account details and this information, and he needs the date time. And did we not add that too? I guess not. Okay, so from datetime import datetime. That's correct. From datetime import datetime, and from main window to window, and from the connection the new session and the account details we need. The account information we use to fetch our start balance. That's a rounded account information, because account information I found out was a floating number, and that means that it will be account information to 6 or 7 decimals, and we don't need those 6 or 7 decimals. So start balance is a rounded number, round, and then it should be rounded to 2. So only 2 decimals from the entire information we get. The account information we get is a dictionary. There's a lot of raw dictionary. So we need the account. From the account, you need the 0 in this, and then you need a balance, and then again a balance. From the balance, get the balance. And this should be rounded. Account information, accounts, 0, balance, balance. This gives us a starting balance. Then we need the date time, the current time, and that this will be stored in our start date time. To get the date time to actually readable, so that we humans know what's been read in there, you need to format it to a string format time, and the string you need is this one. Now we need to connect this, and because we have a main, we started with main, then we went to the main opened our window, but we need now to go for the window. Oh, I see we have twice creating a new session. Oh, we don't need it here. Why do we have to create new sessions? We don't need it twice. One time is enough. So I'm going to delete this one. Yeah. Okay. Needed to do it in the main code too. It's good to review your code. But there is our start button. Our start button is coming back in action. And when start button is clicked from the main menu, then the start button config will start the function start button clicked. And this function is not yet configured. It's not that great of a deal. Gonna fetch it for you. There it is. That's the one. Start button clicked. Threading. And you see the button is the text is red underlined, so we're missing something here. And then the target is start loop. We recognize start loop as is this function. So when the start button is clicked, then this function will be fired up. And then the arguments we send along is the array fetched candles. And that's the one right up there. So this is the function start button clicked, and we need threading, and that's an import too, of course, and there will be a lot of imports. Oh. A lot of libraries are in Python. That's why Python is such a strong language, because yeah, we have they create a lot of libraries you can use inside Python. But yeah, you don't need all the libraries. So you just select the libraries you need. That keeps your code compact. It needs the source code compact, and then you don't have a lot of ballast in your programming, like versions of Windows, which gave what, 10, 15 gig at useless code and libraries you don't do anything with. Though Python is a lot stronger on that base. But we also need the start button. It's red underlined. So where is the start button? Well, the start button is in our main window. There we have our start button. There it is. The start button is. So we go from start button. We need the one tip. So we import from the main window, not only the window, but also start button. And now we have something we can work with. Now we get an error from the point we want to create a session. But if we go on, we will at least see that the loop has started. If I'm going to press start, you're going to see in the window below here that there is a loop started. So let's run this. Oh, we still have a purple background. We're going to change this. We press start, and you see the loop has started, and there is an error. He's going to try to fetch information, what he cannot do because there is not the right CST token, the password isn't there, the username isn't there, but you can see that he's trying to get the function running, and he will do it until I say don't. Stop. Yes, I'm gonna back to main window. We're gonna change purple. There it is. Back to white smoke. And if we connect now, yes, we've got a file that looks a bit like this screen with the number of candles, a lot of information. We're going to update during the process, but it's white again. I like white smoke. And if I press start, then the loop will be started and information will be fetched if we have the right password and username, etc., etc. Kill this, kill this. So if you have done this all along, you should have the same results as I have. And if you do so, then we can go on in the next video with getting more information. And we're going to show how this all works together. So if you want to do, see you in the next video. If you did like this one, please press the like button. And if you want to stay and see the rest, then get your information from the subscription. And if you want to see the bot running, then you go to my Twitch channel, as in Twitch /scalping bot, Nasdaq Scalping bot. But I will leave the link in the description. So for now, this was it. See you in the next one.